The entire federal budget. I'm joined now by Senator Roy Blunt, Republican from Missouri. Senator, good to see you. Good morning.
Chris, nice to see you.
As you well know, under these new rules, legislation needs to be publicly posted 72 hours before a vote, and that time has passed. So is a shutdown inevitable?
Well, if you stuck with that 72-hour rule, it would be inevitable. But I think it'd be possible if you had an agreement and all you needed to do was have a short-term extension to write that agreement to get that done. But that's frankly up to the House, and it's up to these negotiators to find a way forward so we can start talking about the other 99% of federal spending. I think you're exactly right. These numbers are significant. I'm for the biggest number they can get, but it is only about 1% of the spending, and we've got a 40% of the spending problem. So we need to get to the other money and be talking about this year's work. Unfortunately, we're talking about the work that the Congress and the administration should have done last year when they controlled everything.
Let's talk about this work, because you do place the blame on the Democrats, saying they haven't been willing to make real cuts. So let me play for you what your colleague Chuck Schumer said this morning.
We've met the other side more than halfway, $33 billion, but they keep moving the goalpost back, and that's because Speaker Boehner is pulled by the Tea Party. It's his job as a leader to tell the Tea Party they can't have everything their way. They're getting some of the things their way, but they can't have everything.
Senator, is he right?
Well, I'm not in that room. I'm not exactly sure what dollars they're talking about, but I do know that part of the $33 billion are dollars that wouldn't have been spent anyway. I think Senator Schumer referred to this at one point of called chipping. You decide not to spend the money you weren't going to spend anyway. I assume John Boehner's trying to get real cuts for at least the $40 billion he'd like to have, but let's see what I'm for getting on with the real spending crisis and hope that the people that are negotiating this can figure out how to get that done. Well,
as you know, there is this 10-year plan put forward yesterday by the Republicans that would seriously cut into the deficit. But you may also know that in November, it was the senior citizens vote that helped a landslide for the Republicans. If you're going to go after Medicare and Medicaid fundamentally, could you be jeopardizing your chances of winning the White House or even keeping a majority come November 2012?
Well, you know, I haven't had time to fully analyze that plan, but I do know that nobody that you and I would define as a senior citizen today would be affected by that plan at all. The people affected are people under 50 or under 55, most of whom don't ever expect to benefit from these programs because they're spiraling out of control. So, of course, one side is going to say, oh, this is terrible, this ends the world as we know it. The truth is that this year, the entitlement spending, these programs we're talking about right now, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and a few other smaller programs, spent more money than all of the income of the federal government. So you can't let that continue. Seniors they'll try to scare seniors. Seniors, by any definition, will not be affected by this discussion at all. Frankly, seniors ought to be concerned about what happens to their children and grandchildren, and that's what we ought to be talking about.
Senator Roy Blunt, on a very busy day on Capitol Hill, thank you for taking the time. We have a power-packed show ahead. Still to come, Democratic Senator Ben Cardin, Assistant Democratic Leader Congressman Jim Clyburn, and two former governors, New York's George